AITA for calling my boyfriend a jerk for refusing to accommodate my brother's eating habits.
So my boyfriend and I have been dating for 11 months. In fact, our 1-year anniversary would be this coming Sunday. So my boyfriend thought it would be a cool idea for him to cook for my parents. He wants to make fish tacos. The thing is, my brother would have to come as well because my parents don't like leaving him home alone. And my brother has very particular food habits. He is an extremely picky eater. And he will only eat what he likes. Which isn't a lot. I told my boyfriend he would have to make some chicken strips on the side, and he said no. He said he won't accommodate for my brother. He said first of all he invited my parents, not my brother, even though he knew my parents won't leave my brother home alone. Then he said my brother needs to grow the F up and act like an adult. And that my parents babied him his whole life and that's why he is the way he is.
I said there is nothing wrong with my brother, but he laughed and rolled his eyes. He said my brother is a grown adult and should have a job and stop relying on my parents. And that he can't stand picky eaters. So he will not make anything for my brother, nor will he allow them to bring anything for him. I told him he was unreasonable and was being a jerk. He looked at me, said to get used to it because life won't hold my brother's hand forever. Now my boyfriend is ignoring me and playing games on his computer instead of talking to me. I feel like maybe I might have gone too far calling him a jerk. Was I an asshole here? More info. How old is your brother and does he have any diagnosed conditions that prevent him from being alone and or that limit his food options? Is your brother disabled? Why would your parents refuse to leave him home alone even though he hasn't been invited?
Okay, saw your other replies. Your brother doesn't appear to be diagnosed with anything that could explain being a picky eater. The weird part about this is your parents insisting that they bring your brother. Normally as a host, your boyfriend would first check with your parents on the kinds of food they like/don't like. If your mom /hated seafood, for example, making a meal centered around fish would be considered rude. But nowhere do you state that your parents dislike fish. If your boyfriend was cooking for a bunch of people, it would be impossible to poll everyone, because you'd never find one thing that everyone likes/dislikes. In that situation, your BF would make fish tacos and probably include something else for those who might not like it. But this situation isn't at play here.
So, asking your boyfriend to accommodate your brother, who isn't even invited, seems a bit much. AITA.
Yeah, YTA here. You expect him to make accommodations for an uninvited guest. That's not how things work. He offered to make a meal for your parents, not your uninvited brother. I'm a picky eater. I get it. It sucks. And I don't make much effort to change it. It's my problem. I don't expect people to make accommodations for me for a problem I create for myself. There's nothing wrong with my brother, but you said he's an adult with no job, can't be trusted to be left alone at home, and is unable to function like an adult at a meal. None of these sound like a problem to you?
It sounds like your boyfriend is realistic and doesn't want to participate in babying your brother. AITA.
Your brother is 22 and has not been diagnosed with any severe spectrum disorders. YTA. Brother is old enough to choose to stay home or enjoy the fish tacos. Even though he knew my parents won't leave my brother home alone. Lol. What? Your brother is 22. Not 5. You're just as much an enabler as your parents. INFO. How old is brother? Diagnosed conditions of brother? Do not include self-diagnosis. YTA. My brother would have to come as well because my parents don't like leaving him home alone. Per your comment, he is 22. This is not normal. He is an extremely picky eater. And he will only eat what he likes. Which isn't a lot. He's got some sort of undiagnosed medical condition. I said there is nothing wrong with my brother.
Obviously there is if he can't be home alone for a few hours.
Saw in another reply that your brother is 22. Info. Why can't your adult brother be left alone? Why do your parents insist on bringing him with? Info: how old is your brother? Edit. YTA. Your parents won't leave a 22-year-old alone? He's an adult. BF shouldn't have to make a 22-year-old chicken tenders. BF's right.
Need more info. How old is brother?
You realize that at some point your parents will die, and there aren't a lot of people who would be willing to let a perfectly able person freeload on them the way your parents do. Right? None of you are doing this man any favors. Aside from that, I imagine finding a life partner is going to be difficult in your situation if you're insistent on taking care of a grown adult who could work and could get help for his seeming anxiety but doesn't. Because why should he when others are willing to bend over backward and do it all for him, and he can do whatever he wants and never have to step out of his comfort zone? Unless your brother has some sort of disability. He and your parents are Oz. He's a grown adult and will only eat chicken nuggies and can't be left home alone for a couple hours? Again, barring some sort of disability. That is utterly pathetic. And your boyfriend would be doing him a favor by trying to get him to act like an adult for once in his life. Welcome to Am I the Asshole? Please view our voting guide here. And remember to use only one judgment in your comment. OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. I may be the asshole because I called my boyfriend a jerk and that may have hurt his feelings. Help keep the sub engaging. Don't downvote assholes. Do upvote interesting posts. Click here for our rules and click here for our FAQ. Subreddit announcements. Follow the link above to learn more. I am a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please contact the moderators of this subreddit if you have any questions or concerns. Contest mode is 1.5 hours long on this post. Your brother is 22, with zero diagnosis of anything, and you want him accommodated? Holy Christ, your whole family sounds toxic AF. YTA. Can't he just eat the fish from the fish tacos? Without sauce or anything added? But a 22 that can't be left alone and will only eat chicken strips and fries? That's not normal. YTA. It doesn't sound like your brother was invited. Why is he attending? YTA. If your brother is in without any documented special needs, which I assume to be the case since you didn't mention any, your boyfriend is absolutely right. If your parents don't feel comfortable leaving their fully functional adult son at home, yes, they, and by extension you, are definitely babying him. YTA. When I first read this I assumed your brother was a little kid. But he's not. He's a 22-year-old. He can't be left home alone at 22? He can't be a big boy and eat some fish tacos. He needs his dino-shaped chicken nuggies? Your boyfriend is right. Your brother needs to grow up and you all need to stop enabling him. YTA. I'm a picky eater. I have texture and sensory issues and food allergies. They are mine to work through. I don't expect everyone to cater to me. If I'm somewhere that serves something I don't like, I either eat beforehand, or stop by a drive-thru on the way home, or just eat once home. I'm also a parent with more than one children on the autism spectrum. They have their own picky ways. We pack, unless going to a restaurant, something that they will eat, or again feed them before or after. The difference between your brother and my children and I is that your brother is an adult without a diagnosis. My children and I have one. And even with it we don't expect others to cater to us. The only thing I really expect is once I've said I'm allergic that you cater my plate accordingly. At 22 your brother is fine staying home alone if there's truly not a diagnosis for him. If he's just a normal, 22 years old human, then your BF is right, the world won't and shouldn't be Expected to cater to him just because mommy and daddy do. So many issues here. Will preface noting I'm personally very picky eater. And neurodivergent, but don't expect people to accommodate me. Really my only issue with a boyfriend is him not allowing your parents to bring anything. But then again, that makes sense given that your brother wasn't invited. TBH. Sounds like this has been for a long time brewing and that significant other actually doesn't want him there. Plus has deep issues with that whole situation. Echo what others say that it clearly sounds like way more is going on here than any kind of neurodivergent potential food pickiness around textures and taste. Such extreme anxiety at 22 plus fam's apparent refusal to seek answers is the major underlying issue. Here, parents are clearly biggest ahs. Brings to mind people who, for whatever reason, deny their kids medical care, generally based on social stigma or religious beliefs, which result in death or other serious health impacts. Somewhat less because this is the way she's been conditioned. Ditto the adult brother, although both are still for the moment. 31-year-old boyfriend doesn't get off scot-free though. Needs to work on his communication as to what his real issues are here. They're very valid, especially if you are thinking about a long-term commitment. One of my siblings married someone whose sibling was severely disabled, so it wasn't just the energy that individual needed from the whole family. And by the way, loved that person, my favorite of all my in-law connections. It was making a commitment to take over care if the parents predeceased the child. In our situation, one did, one didn't, because they passed away comparatively recently. I'm still very sad. Bottom line, parents need to get their act together. Whole family needs to AVCT based on diagnosis. Boyfriend needs to decide how that fits into what he wants out of life and communicate clearly. YTA, your boyfriend wanted to do something special for your parents.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.